Did you know a single heist could rewrite legal history? It's not just about the money or the thrill of the chase. Sometimes a crime can shake the very foundations of a nation's legal system. In 2004, a daring robbery at London's Heathrow Airport didn't just make headlines for its audacity. It sparked a chain of events that led to the first juryless major criminal trial in Britain in over 4 centuries. This heist was meticulously planned and executed, leaving authorities both stunned and embarrassed. This wasn't just about stolen millions, it was about trust, justice, and the very foundations of the British legal system. The implications of this crime went far beyond the immediate loss. It questioned the integrity of the legal process and the ability of the system to handle such high-profile cases. At the heart of this storm was John Twomey, a career criminal with a reputation as tough as his native Cork, Ireland. Twomey was no stranger to the law, having spent years navigating the underworld with a cunning that made him both feared and respected. Twomey, along with his accomplices, pulled off a brazen daylight robbery, targeting a high-security warehouse believed to hold a king's ransom in cash. The operation was executed with military precision, leaving little room for error. The robbers knew exactly what they were after, and how to get it. What followed was a cat-and-mouse game with the police, riddled with twists, turns, and a controversial courtroom drama that captivated a nation. The trial that ensued was anything but ordinary. It was a spectacle that drew public attention and media scrutiny, ultimately leading to a landmark decision to hold the trial without a jury, a move that was both unprecedented and highly controversial. John Twomey was no stranger to the wrong side of the law. He'd clashed with authorities before, even testifying in a police corruption inquiry. This time, however, he assembled a crew for a high-stakes gamble. There was Peter Blake, a man known for his hair-trigger temper. Barry Hibbard brought a quiet intensity to the group, while Glenn Cameron rounded out the team. These men weren't hardened gangsters from a movie. They were a snapshot of working-class backgrounds, driven by a potent mix of ambition and desperation. They saw a chance to grab a life-changing sum, a chance to escape the grind. But their aspirations would soon collide with the unforgiving realities of their chosen path. February 2004. The Menzies World Cargo Warehouse at Heathrow Airport buzzed with activity. Flights arrived and departed, a global ballet of commerce. But amidst this routine, a carefully planned operation was about to unfold. Twomey and his crew, disguised as security guards, stormed the warehouse with military precision. 16 terrified employees were held at gunpoint, their hands bound with cable ties. Blake, true to his reputation, fired a warning shot as one worker attempted to flee. The air crackled with tension and fear. The robbers made off with £1.75 million, a far cry from the $10 million they'd anticipated. It was a haul, to be sure, but one that came at a steep price. The investigation into the Heathrow heist was swift and relentless. Police, determined to bring the perpetrators to justice, built a compelling case. Yet, the road to justice proved to be anything but straightforward. Twomey's first trial was cut short by his sudden heart attack, a dramatic twist that only added to the case's intrigue. The second trial ended in a hung jury, unable to reach a unanimous verdict. Tempers flared. Was this a sign of reasonable doubt or simply the machinations of a cunning defendant? The stakes were raised even higher when the third trial was abruptly halted amid whispers of jury tampering. The specter of outside influence loomed large. Section 5. An unprecedented decision: justice without a jury. Faced with the escalating costs of securing a fair trial and the very real threat of jury intimidation, the prosecution made a bold request. They argued for a trial by judge alone, a radical departure from centuries of legal tradition in Britain. The judge, presented with compelling evidence of potential tampering, made a historic ruling. For the first time in a major criminal case since the 17th century, a jury would be absent from the courtroom. This unprecedented move ignited a firestorm of debate. Was it a necessary measure to ensure justice or a dangerous precedent that chipped away at the very foundations of British law? The nation watched and waited as the trial unfolded under this unusual spotlight. Section 6. The Price of Freedom, Sentencing, and Aftermath. The courtroom buzzed with anticipation as the judge prepared to deliver his verdict. The tension was palpable, with every eye in the room fixed on the judge's stern face. The families of the accused sat in silent prayer, hoping for a miracle, while the victims' families clutched each other, seeking solace in their shared grief. The evidence, painstakingly presented, painted a clear picture of guilt. Each piece of evidence, from the forensic reports to the witness testimonies, was meticulously examined and cross-examined. The prosecution had built an airtight case, leaving no room for doubt. Twomey and his accomplices were found guilty on all counts. The verdict was met with a mix of gasps and murmurs from the audience. The accused stood motionless, their faces betraying a range of emotions from shock to resignation. The air was thick with tension as the judge handed down their sentences. The courtroom fell silent, the only sound being the judge's measured voice as he read out the punishments. Each sentence was a blow, reverberating through the room. Twomey, considered the ringleader, received a 20-year sentence. His face remained stoic, but his eyes betrayed a flicker of fear. The weight of his actions and the years ahead seemed to settle on his shoulders. Blake's fiery temper earned him life with a minimum of 10 years and 9 months. His outbursts during the trial had not gone unnoticed, and the judge made it clear that such behavior would not be tolerated. Hibbard was sentenced to 17 years and 6 months, a term that reflected his involvement and the severity of his crimes. He looked down, avoiding the gaze of the courtroom, perhaps already feeling the weight of his impending incarceration, while Cameron received a 15-year term. His face was a mask of defiance, but there was a hint of resignation in his eyes. The reality of his situation was beginning to sink in. The men, their faces etched with a mix of defiance and resignation, were led away to begin their sentences. The clinking of handcuffs and the shuffle of feet were the only sounds as they were escorted out of the courtroom. Their appeals, based on the legality of the juryless trial and the use of secret evidence, were ultimately rejected. The legal battles that had consumed years of their lives were over, and the finality of the judge's decision left a lasting impact on everyone involved. Section 7. Lingering questions, the motive and the missing millions. Despite the convictions, some questions surrounding the Heathrow heist remained unanswered. What drove Twomey and his crew to target this particular warehouse? While the prosecution presented a case built on greed, rumors persisted of a deeper motive, perhaps connected to Twomey's history of exposing corruption. And what became of the stolen millions? Despite extensive efforts, the money was never recovered. Some speculated that it was spirited out of the country, hidden away to fund a life on the run once the men had served their time. Others believed it was safely stashed away, a secret only the robbers knew. The missing loot only added to the mystique surrounding the case. Section 8. A legacy of change. The impact on British justice. The Heathrow heist wasn't just a brazen robbery, it was a watershed moment in British legal history. The decision to hold a juryless trial, while controversial, ignited a debate about the balance between security and individual rights. It forced a nation to confront the realities of jury intimidation and the challenges of ensuring a fair trial in a complex world. The case prompted a review of trial procedures and security measures, leading to reforms aimed at safeguarding the integrity of the justice system. The Heathrow heist served as a stark reminder that even the most cherished legal traditions must adapt to meet the evolving threats of the modern world. Section 9. The human element beyond the headlines. While the legal battle played out on a grand stage, it's important to remember the human impact of the Heathrow heist. The courtroom drama, filled with legal jargon and procedural intricacies, often overshadowed the real stories of those who were directly affected. The media frenzy focused on the sensational aspects, but behind every headline, there were real people whose lives were irrevocably changed. The warehouse employees, subjected to a terrifying ordeal, carried the psychological scars of that day long after the robbers were apprehended. These individuals, who were simply doing their jobs, found themselves in the midst of a nightmare. The trauma they experienced was not just a fleeting moment of fear, but a lasting imprint on their mental well-being. Many struggled with anxiety and sleepless nights, haunted by the memories of masked men and the sound of gunfire. Their sense of security, their trust in the ordinary, was shattered. The warehouse, once a place of routine and familiarity, became a symbol of vulnerability and danger. The broken window was not just a physical breach, but a metaphor for the broken sense of safety that would take years to rebuild. For many, the return to normalcy seemed like an insurmountable challenge. And what of the families of those involved? The emotional toll extended beyond the immediate victims to their loved ones. Spouses, children, and parents were left to pick up the pieces, dealing with the aftermath of an event they had no control over. The letters and phone calls brought news that shattered their world, leaving them to navigate a new reality filled with uncertainty and fear. The wives, children, and parents left to grapple with the consequences of their loved ones' actions. The ripple effects of the heist extended far beyond the courtroom walls, leaving a trail of broken lives and shattered dreams in its wake. The children, in particular, faced a confusing and painful reality, trying to understand why their world had changed so drastically. Family dinners, once filled with laughter and stories, became somber gatherings where the weight of the situation hung heavy in the air. The ripple effects of the heist extended far beyond the courtroom walls, leaving a trail of broken lives and shattered dreams in its wake. The legal proceedings, while necessary, could not mend the emotional wounds inflicted on so many. The empty courtroom, a stark contrast to the bustling scenes of the trial, symbolized the end of one chapter but the beginning of a long journey towards healing for the victims and their families. The Heathrow Heist, for all its notoriety, was ultimately a story of human choices, their consequences, and the enduring search for justice. It was a reminder that behind every crime, there are real people whose lives are forever altered. The quest for justice was not just about legal retribution, but about finding a way to restore a sense of normalcy and peace to those who had suffered. The scales of justice, ever so symbolic, represented the delicate balance between punishment and healing, a balance that society must strive to achieve.